By the end of this video, you will learn ways to identify a panic attack, how to manage a panic attack, and how to stop it. Hello, I'm Dr. Net, a film clinical psychologist from Florida. Magandang umaga, hapon, or gabi po sa inyong lahat. This is the Brown Psych channel where we talk about Filipino mental health and anxiety so you don't have to suffer. Do you ever feel overwhelmed with a sudden onset of fear, dread, and intense physical symptoms? If so, you may be experiencing a panic attack. I know it can be a terrifying experience, leaving you feeling helpless and out of control. However, panic attacks are incredibly common. 1 in 3 people will experience panic attacks at some point in their lives. So before we talk about managing panic attacks, let's talk about the symptom, because the first step in actually managing panic attacks is to identify the signs and symptoms that they bring on. Common symptoms include shortness of breath, rapid heartbeat, chest pain, trembling or shaking, dizziness or lightheadedness, stomach upset, or sweating, and also feeling out of control. It's often accompanied by extreme fear or dread and typically lasts between 5 to 20 minutes. Once you know what to look for, it becomes easier to recognize when you're feeling anxious and take steps to manage it before it escalates into a full-blown panic attacks. So that is the first step: recognize the signs and symptoms. The second step is slowly exposing yourself to the things that trigger those panic attacks. For instance, I have clients who have social phobia. When they are in crowded places, they begin to panic and they begin to hyperventilate. So if you know that crowded places tend to make you feel anxious or tend to make your anxiety worse, start by spending small amounts of time in less crowded places before gradually working up to larger spaces over time. This process is called exposure therapy, and one of the treatments that I teach my clients in practice. It can help you become more comfortable with situations that previously caused intense fear or distress. And then also, breathing and mindfulness-based therapy such as meditation can help manage the stress and also keep your anxiety down. So here are the 3 strategies on how to stop a panic attack. These are some of my favorites and some of the things that I teach my clients in practice. Number 1 is concentrating on our thoughts or calming our thoughts. Some initial thoughts when you're experiencing a panic attack are, oh my gosh, anong nangyayari? What's happening? Am I having a heart attack or a stroke? Na-atake na yata ako sa puso? Or ito na yata yung tinatawag na stroke? Or nababaliw na ba ako? Am I going crazy? So in the cognitive behavioral therapy world, we identify what kind of cognitive distortions they are. So if you have not watched the different types of cognitive distortions at kung ano ito, I have linked the video here for you. Well, this type of distortion or faulty thinking is called catastrophication, which I am even guilty of. And this is like one of my go-tos when it comes to faulty thinking, unfortunately. So this means we are just concentrating on the worst case scenario or the worst possible outcome. It can also be called like an all or nothing thinking, which is another kind of cognitive distortion, which means we see the world in absolutes and think in terms of extremes. So if your heart is palpitating and going 1,000 miles per minute, remind yourself that this is anxiety or panic. Well, that is assuming that you have consulted with your medical professional and that person ruled out any health concerns and have told you that there is nothing to worry about. So true story. So probably some of you already know that if you watch my previous videos that I'm a cancer survivor. And after my chemo treatment, apparently chemo treatment is very acidic. I was having palpitations, I was having some burning sensations in my chest, and I thought I was having a panic attack. And it turns out that I was having gastritis, which is kind of similar to GERD or the gastroesophageal reflux disorder, but apparently it's a little different according to my doctor. And he basically said that no, this is not panic attack, but that's probably the acidity that's causing the gastritis, which was caused by the chemotherapy. So there is an example of you having to need to rule out physical concerns first. Anyway, going back. So for you, since your doctor, if you have had them checked, reported that, your physical health is fine, the one thing that you can do is to remind yourself that this is anxiety and that you are not in any physical danger or there is no immediate threat to your life. Remind yourself that your health is fine and this is what a panic attack feels like, and that you're not going to die. Yes, I know it's true that it's so uncomfortable because I've had panic attacks when I was younger, but it will also pass. So, what if there's some of you, I know, meron kayong nagtatanong na, what if I lose control or I go crazy? Nababaliw na yata ako during a panic attack. Well, one thing is, you can reassure yourself that what you're feeling like this going crazy is because of the thoughts spiraling from your mind, or we call it rumination in the field of psychology, because that's what anxiety does. It makes us think or fear that something terrible is about to happen. But just because you have racing thoughts or rumination does not mean that you're going crazy. That's called anxiety. So, Dr. Net, paano naman kung, what if I think, oh my gosh, I'm having a panic attack, tapos paano kung mahimatay ako? What if I pass out or what if I faint? Well, you know how common I hear this from my clients in practice? Really a lot. A lot of them think that they're gonna pass out. But you know what happens when you're having a panic attack is your blood pressure actually rises. But when you pass out, guess what happens? Your blood pressure actually drops down. So what you're experiencing is actually the exact opposite. Because what's being activated is the sympathetic nervous system or the fight, flight, freeze responses. Dr. Net, what if naman, I do something weird or baka ma-embarrass naman ako? What if I get embarrassed? Well, let's imagine this for a minute, right? Like when you're out there, when you're out and about going, like for instance, you're in a grocery store, do you actually pay attention to like the people around you? Or are we always, most of the time, in our thoughts, or possibly thinking about things that you will do, your grocery list, what someone said to you at the office, the things that need to be done when you get home, but probably not so much about the people around you. So let's say naman that someone notices that you're not feeling well, right? Because like this is also one thing that I often hear from my clients, that what if I'm at the grocery store, or what if I'm out and about and then I embarrass myself because I'm having a panic attack? Nakakahiya, di ba? So what if actually that happens? Let's go there. Let's go down to that rabbit hole. What if, let's say, you're not feeling well and you actually maybe approach a grocery clerk and say that, I think I'm having a panic attack. What do you think the grocery clerk will tell you? Do you think papahiyain ka ba nung grocery clerk? Or do you think the grocery clerk will help you? And interestingly, among my clients, majority of the time, they will tell me that, yeah, most likely they will, probably be really empathetic and will actually like help me when I'm at the store instead of embarrassing or shaming me. So as I said earlier, one of the best things that you can do to recognize the thoughts that are fueling the panic, are, reminding yourself that this is just your anxiety bullying you, and using rational thinking or positive talk to assert yourself against the bully, or against this bully that is your anxiety. And I know that you've also been told before to take deep breaths to calm yourself, but when you're in the middle of a panic attack, this is not really helpful and it might worsen it. However, deep breathing is very effective if you feel that you're about to have a panic attack in the next few minutes, ensuring that your exhale or out breaths are longer than your inhale. Use grounding exercises, veer away your attention from the physical symptoms and instead focus on your external senses, such as using the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. For example, this goes like, name things that you can see. Maybe I can see the tree outside, maybe I can see my dog, or maybe I can see the ensaymada on the table. Name 4 things that you can touch. Maybe I can feel this pen. 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and then 1 thing that you can taste. Really using your senses to be aware and to kind of reorient yourself of what's happening in the moment. This will make you aware of what's happening in the current moment, and the focus goes on in there instead of what's going on internally for you. Sometimes, no matter what you try, you find yourself in a panic attack, a full-blown panic attack. And there's not a lot that you can do except to go along with it, accept that it's happening, and accept that you're in a panic. In this scenario, however, I want you to think of the riptide or the rip current, which is, I know that it happens in the Philippines too, my dad said, because it does happen here in Florida where I live, where you may have heard that you have to go along with it and not go against it because it'll be useless to try to escape it. It's the same thing with a full-blown panic attack. Don't go against it, instead observe and float along with it until the waves pass and bring you to the shore of calmness. This strategy will make it less severe and may take away some of the power of the panic, because Now you know how to handle it. I know the dread of the next panic is just as bad, but as you learn the skills to cope with it, the panic becomes less and less. If you have had panic attacks before and tried a strategy that I have not mentioned that has worked for you, please feel free to comment below and share it with our community. And if you have other questions about mental health and anxiety, feel free to also comment down below, or you can also direct message me on my Instagram or Facebook page. Now, if this video has been helpful to you, or you think someone can benefit from this video, please like, subscribe, and share this video. That way it will also tell YouTube to show this video to others like yourself. Again, this is Dr. Net signing off for right now and reminding you that in our Pinoy community, healing is possible for you and me. Maraming salamat po.